Consider the reversible reaction. N2G plus 3H2G. Rightwards harpoon over leftwards harpoon 2 nitrogen trihydride. G plus heat. According to Le Chatelier principle, what will happen to the equilibrium position if the pressure is increased by decreasing the volume of the reaction container? Answer B. The equilibrium will shift to the right, favoring products.
Which of the following bioinformatics tools is primarily used for the prediction of protein secondary structure? Answer C. PSIPRED.
What are the primary environmental conditions required for the growth and survival of most reef-building corals? Answer B. Shallow, warm, clear, sunlit waters.
Which of the following bacterial structures is the primary site for protein synthesis? Answer C. Ribosome.
Which of the following describes a *negative radiative forcing on Earth's climate system? Answer C. Large explosive volcanic eruptions injecting sulfates into the stratosphere.
Which of the following terms describes the phenomenon where plants exhibit a growth response towards or away from a touch stimulus? Answer A. Thigmotropism.
What is the primary advantage of utilizing a data lake architecture in bioinformatics for managing diverse and evolving experimental data? Answer B. It allows for the storage of raw, unstructured, and semi-structured data without requiring an upfront schema, enabling future analytical flexibility.
Which of the following types of animal coloration involves a species exhibiting bright, conspicuous patterns to warn predators of its toxicity or unpalatability? Answer B. Aposematism.
Which geological period is characterized by the first abundant appearance of diverse, complex multicellular life forms in the fossil record, including the Cambrian explosion? Answer C. Cambrian.
Which of the following endocrine glands is primarily responsible for the production of epinephrine and norepinephrine? Answer D. Adrenal medulla.
Which of the following canals connects the Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea, significantly shortening sea routes between them? Answer C. Panama Canal.
What type of plate boundary is characterized by two plates sliding horizontally past each other, resulting in significant seismic activity but typically no creation or destruction of crust? Answer C. Transform boundary.
What subfield of anthropology explicitly uses anthropological data, perspectives, theory, and methods to identify, assess, and solve contemporary problems involving human behavior and social organization? Answer C. Applied anthropology.
Which psychological phenomenon describes the cognitive bias where an individual's decisions are influenced by the first piece of information offered, the anchor, even if that information is irrelevant or arbitrary? Answer B. Anchoring bias.
What happens to the total resistance of a circuit when three identical resistors are connected in parallel? compared to connecting them in series? Answer B. The total resistance is lower in parallel than in series.
Which psychological phenomenon best describes the tendency for individuals to perceive a relationship between two variables when no such relationship actually exists, often due to a pre-existing expectation or belief? Answer C. Illusory correlation.
Which of the following hormones primarily stimulates the secretion of gastric acid in the stomach? Answer C. Gastrin.
What is the name of the scientific instrument that separates light into its component wavelengths, allowing astronomers to analyze the chemical composition and temperature of celestial objects? Answer C. Spectrograph.
What sociological concept refers to the ability to understand the relationship between individual experiences and broader societal forces, allowing one to connect personal troubles with public issues? Answer C. Sociological imagination. Which of the following is not considered a direct paleoclimate proxy used to reconstruct past climates? Answer D. General circulation models, GCMs. Which of the following processes primarily drives the formation of the ozone hole over Antarctica? Answer A. Formation of polar stratospheric clouds, PSCs, and subsequent catalytic destruction by chlorine and bromine compounds.
Which bioinformatics tool is widely used for visualizing and exploring genomic data, including gene annotations, sequencing alignments, and variant calls, often from next-generation sequencing experiments? Answer C. IGV.
Which type of metamorphism results from the burial of rocks to great depths, leading to increased pressure and temperature without significant directed stress? Answer C. Burial metamorphism. A satellite is in a stable circular orbit around Earth. Which of the following statements about its energy is true? Answer A. Its total mechanical energy is negative, and its kinetic energy is half the magnitude of its potential energy.
Which geological principle states that in an undisturbed sequence of sedimentary rocks, the oldest layers are at the bottom and the youngest layers are at the top? Answer C. Principle of superposition.
What ecological phenomenon describes the ripple effect of changes in one trophic level impacting non-adjacent trophic levels in a food web? Answer C. Trophic cascade. Which of the following best describes the variety of life on Earth at all its levels, from genes to ecosystems, and the ecological and evolutionary processes that sustain it? Answer C. Biodiversity. Which of the following describes the primary mechanism by which the El Niño Southern Oscillation, ENSO, affects global weather patterns? Answer C. Periodic warming and cooling of sea surface temperatures in the central and eastern equatorial Pacific Ocean, altering atmospheric circulation. Which celestial body is known to have a runaway greenhouse effect, resulting in extremely high surface temperatures and a dense atmosphere primarily composed of carbon dioxide? Answer B. Venus. What phenomenon describes the depth in the ocean below which calcium carbonate shells and skeletons dissolve faster than they accumulate, preventing their preservation as sediment? Answer D. The carbonate compensation depth, CCD. Which of the following nutrient cycles lacks a significant atmospheric gaseous phase and primarily cycles through rocks, soil, water, and living organisms? Answer D. The phosphorus cycle.
Which of the following plant hormones is primarily responsible for promoting cell elongation and growth, particularly in stems, and is also involved in fruit ripening and leaf abscission? Answer C. Gibberellins.
What is the primary function of DNA ligase in DNA replication and repair? Answer D. To join DNA fragments together by forming phosphodiester bonds.
Which of the following best describes the primary purpose of a clinical decision support system? CDSS. In healthcare informatics. Answer C. To provide clinicians with evidence-based recommendations and alerts at the point of care.
Which psychological phenomenon best describes the tendency for individuals to attribute successful outcomes to their own internal qualities or efforts, while attributing failures to external circumstances or factors beyond their control? Answer C. Self-serving bias. Which mode of subsistence is characterized by small, mobile groups primarily relying on wild resources obtained through hunting, gathering, and fishing? Answer C. Foraging.
What is the primary function of an enzyme in biological reactions? Answer C. Speed up the rate of a reaction without being consumed.
Which of the following describes a type of stress that results in rocks being squeezed or shortened? Answer D. Compressional stress.
Which of the following bodies of water is the largest freshwater lake by surface area in the world? Answer A. Lake Superior.
Which psychological phenomenon best describes the tendency for people to focus only on information that supports their existing beliefs, while ignoring or downplaying contradictory evidence? Answer A. Confirmation bias.
Which sociological concept refers to a social position that an individual earns or chooses through their own efforts, talents, or accomplishments? Answer C. Achieved status.
Which of the following cellular structures is primarily responsible for regulating the movement of substances into and out of the cell? Answer D. Plasma membrane.
Which of the following structures is responsible for the production of thyroid hormones, which regulate metabolism? Answer C. Thyroid gland.
Which of the following describes a species where the females are larger and more dominant than the males, often leading to polyandrous mating systems? Answer B. Reverse sexual dimorphism.
Which of the following bacterial structures is primarily responsible for the genetic diversity Acquired through the uptake of free DNA from the environment. Answer A. Plasmid.
Which of the following describes the behavior of an ideal gas when its volume is reduced at a constant temperature? Answer A. Its pressure increases proportionally.
What phenomenon causes the predictable rise and fall of ocean waters on Earth? Answer C. The gravitational pull of the Moon and, to a lesser extent, the Sun.
What concept in anthropology refers to the tendency to view one's own culture as the most important and correct, and to use it as a standard for judging other cultures? Answer B. Ethnocentrism.
Which of the following is a primary function of the endosperm in angiosperm seeds? Answer B. Storage of nutrients for the embryo.
What is the primary limiting factor for plant growth in most desert biomes? Answer C. Water availability.
Which bioinformatics approach aims to identify genes in a genome solely based on statistical patterns and sequence intrinsic features, without relying on experimental evidence, like ESTs or RNA-seq, or homology to known genes? Answer C. Transcript-based gene prediction.
What is the primary astronomical body responsible for generating the majority of tidal forces on Earth? Answer D. The Moon. Which of the following best describes the primary goal of semantic interoperability in informatics, particularly when dealing with heterogeneous datasets? Answer B. To ensure that data from different sources can be exchanged and understood by computer systems and humans without ambiguity.
Which of the following animal groups exclusively exhibits radial symmetry throughout its entire life cycle? Answer C. Cnidaria.
Which of the following processes is the primary method by which phytoplankton convert inorganic carbon into organic compounds, forming the base of the marine food web? Answer C. Photosynthesis.
Which psychological phenomenon describes how the way information is presented, e.g., emphasizing potential gains versus potential losses, can significantly alter an individual's choices, even when the objective outcomes of the choices are identical? Answer C. Framing effect.
What does the principal quantum number, n, primarily describe in an atom? Answer C. The energy level and size of an atomic orbital.
Which of the following describes the behavior of a superconductor below its critical temperature? Answer C. It expels magnetic fields from its interior, Meissner effect.
Which of the following describes a substance that completely dissociates into its ions when dissolved in water, producing a high concentration of H+ ions? Answer C. Strong acid.
Which geological era is known as the Age of Fishes, due to the significant diversification and abundance of fish, particularly jawed fish? Answer C. Paleozoic era.
Which bioinformatics tool is primarily used for predicting RNA secondary structure? Answer C. M-fold.
Which stage of cellular respiration directly produces the most ATP molecules per glucose molecule? Answer C. Electron transport chain.